Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Coming up tonight on our news, Shantytown residents wonder what's next as the threat of demolition looms. A man charged with a $1.6 million drug bust, and police crack down on rule breakers under the emergency orders. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, Shantytown residents expressing concern over where they will go if their homes are destroyed. This comes after Public Works Minister Desmond Bannister revealed government is planning a demolition exercise for at least one of those communities on New Providence very soon. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Because you can't just come and just break them like that. The people is people, right? Would you feel that's what I feel too?
Victor Mondiserli has Bahamian citizenship, has been living in the shantytown for 25 years, and pays rent of $200 a month for this one-bedroom facility. He has no kitchen, and his bathroom is a bucket.
Where do you get the electricity from?
No, I use batteries.
Oh, you're using batteries for your service?
That's where you sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
Despite his living condition, he says he's comfortable, but left worried what he would do if government moves ahead with plans to destroy homes like his in areas known as shantytowns.
It's like it's impossible both sides. Because you can't quickly put me out just like that.
This community, through a corner off Golden Isles Road near the Carmichael Road Detention Center, is home to several families, many of whom built their house decades ago, like this Bahamian, who's been living here since 1993.
I don't have no place else to go. You know, after the court took my house from me and gave it to my wife, you know, so I had to find some place to sleep. I can continue sleeping in my car, you know, and I have built a nice home in this yard. And my home look better than most of them home in Baintown and Nassau Village.
I born here. I'm 21. Exactly. So I really staying in this lifestyle because of my parents. I mean, everybody share the same blood. I don't see the difference between Haitian, Bahamian, Jamaican, or whatever culture you is. Because at the end of the day, we have the same blood. When we die, we ain't going with nothing.
Demolition exercises have already begun in Abaco, with a similar one to begin in New Providence soon, according to Public Works Minister Desmond Bannister. However, some human rights activists have taken issue with this, as there is a matter in court.
You're going to demolish these homes, but what are the solutions you bring into these people who you're going to be making homeless? Your citizens, your residents, people who have work visa in this country.
Bannister also said there has to come a point where the country decides whether it's going to have a society like Haiti. Well, these activists say they want to know exactly what he meant by that.
He have to explain that to me. Mm-hmm. He would definitely have to explain that to me by what he meant the Bahamas becoming another Haiti. Because I visited Haiti, many people have visited Haiti, and the same thing we have here, where you have areas that are well structured and those that are not Haiti, is the same thing.
And in another shantytown just off Cowpen Road, these residents say if they could afford a better place to stay, they would.
Pretty bill, job not too enough. You don't have enough. We don't have enough job. Sometimes you meet couple days, sometimes you sit down. When you get money, you clear bill. So that's all. We stayed here for long like that.
We ran into Danell Medius, a Bahamian walking into the community to visit family. He said he doesn't understand the government's position on this one.
People been living here for a good amount of while of years. So I think like how the law of the Bahamas says crown land. I think before the government demolish this, I think the government should come together with the people and come up with a plan and try to find a way how they could up the standard of the way they live in.
Government has expressed concern over the living conditions in these communities and has pushed to rid the country of them altogether. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Deputy Prime Minister Desmond Bannister touting the Bahamas as the envy of many countries, even as the country continues to battle a rise in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations. Jared Higgs has the details.
The Bahamas right now is in a better position, a position where many countries envy us.
Bannister was appearing as a guest on the Record with Jerome Sawyer, where the two discussed the F&M's 4 years in office. During a discussion on the pandemic, Bannister defended government's actions over the past year, saying the Prime Minister followed medical advice to the country's advantage.
We are now able to start. We have now started opening up in a manner that is going to give Bahamians an opportunity to be able to resume their normal lives.
Bannister admitted that government made some mistakes as it dealt with a new virus. A second wave of the virus during late July to November took a major toll on the country's healthcare system. And while Bannister says the country is getting closer to normalcy, health officials are concerned about the third wave of the virus. Former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands told the Nassau Guardian that he's worried about an increase in ICU hospitalizations. Government has made little indication that it intends on tightening restrictions, and Bannister argues that the country is still better off.
We'd never, ever had something like that impact us. But when you look at the results, when you look at us coming out of it, when you look at the hospitalization rates now in the Bahamas, we compare favorably with virtually any other country.
Restrictions have remained largely unchanged since the last lockdown ended in November. Since then, several large hotels have reopened, and so did the nation's schools. But the increase in cases means that schools will stop meeting in person at the end of May, and only exam takers will be allowed on campus. Meanwhile, Sawyer asked Bannister if he could say whether the emergency order would be lifted at the end of May. Bannister says he wouldn't comment on cabinet communications, but their priority is keeping people safe.
One of the challenges that we've had, and you've seen them, are these mass gatherings. It's very presumptuous for persons to do that. There are persons in our community who hold positions of responsibility, who've been involved in those types of gatherings. And we hope that they will discontinue that type of conduct.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
One of the men arrested in connection with that $1.6 million cocaine bust on Cat Island on Monday, appearing in the magistrate's court today. Bethany McDermott has the details.
38-year-old David Hines, seen here in the orange polo shirt, pleaded not guilty to one count of conspiracy to possess dangerous drugs with the intent to supply and one count of conspiracy to import dangerous drugs. Prosecutors allege that between May 7th and 12th, while at Arthurstown, Cat Island, and being concerned with another, Hines conspired to possess and import dangerous drugs with the intent to supply to another. His arrest followed a $1.6 million drug bust on Arthurstown, Cat Island Monday. This discovery came as a result of a joint operation between local and international law enforcement agencies. According to police, an aircraft was observed traveling from Haiti to the Bahamas. The aircraft touched down in Long Island and continued northbound to a Cat Island airport. A male who was seen leaving the aircraft with two large multicolored suitcases ran into nearby bushes. The suspect escaped. An examination of the suitcase revealed 58 kilos of suspected cocaine. The pilot, who later landed in New Bight, Cat Island, was arrested and the aircraft seized. In court today, the Grand Bahama resident, who was represented by attorney Jomo Campbell, was also hit with one count of possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply and one count of importation of dangerous drugs. It's alleged that on May 12th, while at Arthurstown, Cat Island, and being concerned with another, Hines was found in possession of and did import into the Bahamas a quantity of cocaine. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. Hines was granted $30,000 bail with one or two sureties and is required to report to the Central Police Station in Grand Bahama every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He returns to court on September 7th for trial. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Well, the COVID-19 Enforcement Unit has issued more than 800 citations since the beginning of the year, according to Chief Superintendent Zhivargo Dames, who warns the Bahamas can sink further into the third wave if people continue to ignore the emergency order. Jasmine Brown reports.
Chief Superintendent Dames says as the Bahamas continues to battle a surge in cases, the enforcement unit is doing what it can to help clamp down, and that includes handing out hundreds of citations.
For year to date, we have cited some 831 persons for breach of the COVID-19 protocols.
James said the unit commonly finds people patronizing and operating prohibited businesses like bars. He warned that if caught, people will have to pay for much more than a drink.
If you are actually having persons sitting around your bar, then you are operating a prohibited bar, and that is a citation that carries a fine of $2,000. Plus, every patron that is patronizing your bar is cited also $300 for patronizing your business.
Dame said while the number of people going into places like bars has decreased, the unit continues to patrol beaches and parks where people tend to gather. He added that a number of businesses have also been cited for allowing too many patrons in their doors.
If we begin to lax ourselves and don't think that it's important to follow the protocols, we will find that this third wave will overtake us, and it will take us that much longer to come out of this protocol.
Last month, police shut down an event attended by hundreds of people at Bahama Barrels. A $92,000 fine was issued for violation of the COVID-19 emergency order.
I want to stress to all of our citizenry, all of our Bahamian people, wherever you may be, one of the Family Islands here in New Providence, that we all do our best, our very best, to follow these protocols. The protocols are there to keep us all safe.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Some thunderstorms around the capital today. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks again, Christina, and a happy Friday evening, everybody. Humid and cloudy conditions on the outside. Temperatures are in the mid-70s, 76 outside our studios right now. Your winds are starting now to swing out of the northeast at 6 knots. They will be picking up in speed. That front boundary has settled towards the south of the capital, and your feels-like temperature also in the mid-70s. Abundant moisture associated with front boundary now moving across the northwest Bahamas. That front boundary will continue to sag towards the south. Clusters of thunderstorms popping up, requiring the issuance of some severe thunderstorm warnings earlier today. That is your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, the Deputy Prime Minister talks lower light bills. Plus, when will we be able to drop the mask? The WHO weighs in. That's coming up when our news returns.
Please be advised that REV has commenced mass disconnection exercises for all accounts with outstanding balances of 90 days or more. Delinquent account holders are advised to pay their bill immediately to avoid service interruption. Simply call us on 605-PAYS or WhatsApp 829-PAYS to make payments or to discuss payment options. Failure to do so will result in service disconnection. To view and pay your bill online anytime, simply visit my.rev.bs.
Deputy Prime Minister Desmond Bannister says light bills are lower thanks to the government. He was also asked about any regrets he had while in government.
You go home today and look at your power bill. I guarantee you it is the lowest it's ever been since you were an adult, since you were paying for electricity. The Bahamian people every day tell me that they appreciate how low their power bills are. Because we've made a difference, we've gone on the market, we've hedged against the fuel price. So when fuel now is at $70, we're buying it at almost half that price. And the Bahamian people are seeing the benefit of it.
Bannister also claims there was no load shedding last summer and that the majority of outages are due to damage to utility poles. This as many still complain about frequent power outages.
We've learned a lesson that in the summertime, the Bahamian people can have reliable power. So last year, even though we were home in record numbers, last summer, we did not have one incident of load shedding. That's the lesson that we've learned.
Well, we did have some outages. It may not have been load shedding, but we had some outages, eh?
Yeah, we've had any number of outages, and I'll tell you how most of them were caused. Persons driving along the street in a careless manner, taking out light poles, has been one of the major challenges that we've had, where we've had many outages as a result of that. That has been a huge challenge, but there has been not one incident of load shedding.
Well, the United States Centers for Disease Control has released new public health recommendations regarding mask wearing and safer activities for fully vaccinated people. The guidelines released yesterday are based on evidence that suggests that fully vaccinated people are less likely to have asymptomatic infection or transmit the virus to others. And although the U.S. has issued new guidelines, the World Health Organization is remaining cautious. WHO Health Emergencies Technical Lead Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove explains that mask policy recommendations will be different for each country, considering where they are in the fight against the virus.
It's about how much virus is circulating around in the country. It's about the amount of vaccines and vaccinations that are rolling out. It's about the variants of interest, the variants of concerns that are circulating. We have to keep all of this in mind when thinking about how to adjust the policies associated with the use of masks. So it is contextual. So all of these considerations need to be taken into account.
At present, the WHO notes that only 0.3% of vaccine supply is going to low-income countries. Still to come, big plans for Little Exuma, plus bad news for the Carifta Championship. The details after this.
Please be advised that REV has commenced mass disconnection exercises for all accounts with outstanding balances of 90 days or more. Delinquent account holders are advised to pay their bill immediately to avoid service interruption. Simply call us on 605-PAYS or WhatsApp 829-PAYS to make payments or to discuss payment options. Failure to do so will result in service disconnection. To view and pay your bill online anytime, simply visit my.rev.bs.
This is our news. Welcome back. Repairs at the Forbes Hill Community Center are underway, and Little Exuma residents say once complete, it will become the centerpiece of their community.
We're restoring the old Forbes Hill all-age school. That area is where we usually have our homecoming, which has been basically stagnant for the past about 10 years. And right now, we're just raising funds locally, and we do like little fundraisers, cookouts, little like softball games. So that's pre-COVID-19. So we used to do a little car wash and stuff like that. And then we had a great boost by Team Cooper. Yeah, they gave us a real good boost with help with most of the materials that we have on site now.
The historic Forbes Hill All-Age School is currently under renovation. The building is being transformed into the Forbes Hill Community Center and will be used as a multi-purpose center for Little Exuma residents. Exuma's and Ragged Island MP Chester Cooper has donated his Member of Parliament salary to the cause. Team Cooper coordinator Wentworth Musgrove.
Every year, Mr. Cooper donates his salary to some project here in Exuma. I think last year he did the Exuma Pride. This year he donated his full salary to the Forbes Hill Association, as OJ said. And one of the whole ideas is to restore the school and to really turn this school into a cultural village. Okay, there are a lot of the elderly ladies in the community, like the Bullards and the Sayers, who has excellent talent. So we will make sure that they go there after school and maybe pass their talent on to the younger kids. Okay, homecoming, like he mentioned, after school care. And so this is the purpose of Team Cooper's involvement. And as you know, he's from this area, and he wants to put his money where his mouth is.
Tonight in sports, the Carifta Championships officially canceled. Local track authorities talk about the decision and what it means. Marcellus Hall has more.
All right, thanks, Christina. Welcome to our Sports on a Friday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. It won't be many times to talk about this guy behind me much longer because the NBA season is winding down. And unfortunately, the Sacramento Kings will not be a part of the playoff picture moving forward. They played last night in one of their final two games on the schedule, going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. They actually managed to lose this game somehow, some way. But, Buddy and his crew finding out that life is not quite as easy as they anticipated in the NBA. We'll see whether or not they can do something in their final game, which ironically comes against the Memphis Grizzlies. That'll be tomorrow night. That moving on now to some news from track and field where bad news coming from the track and field scene, at least if you're a Carifta fan. The track and field community, NACAC, has announced that Carifta has been indeed canceled due to the COVID protocols taking place in the host country, Bermuda. That would have had the Bahamas and whatever countries coming in having to quarantine for 14 days if they weren't vaccinated in order to be able to compete for the 3-day period. That, of course, cost prohibitive and certainly led to NACAC making the decision to go ahead and cancel the season, to cancel the games for this particular round. Difficult times for the Bahamas and B3As, of course. Their president, the B3A's president, Jamaica Archer, making a statement in regards to the decision coming down.
It is not an easy decision that is being made. Athletes are challenged, and so are administrators. I'm empathetic to the NACAC community. I'm also empathetic to Bermuda for the disappointment of having the event to be canceled once again. And as for Team Bahamas, our resolve is that this too shall pass, and the Bahamas remains committed to finding other opportunities for the benefit of our athletes.
And so there you have it. I'll check on sports for you this Friday. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'm Marcellus Hall. Christina, back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Well, what will the weekend bring? Greg is back in the Weather Center. Plus, Miss Bahamas makes an impression at Miss Universe. That's coming up when our news returns.
My name is Bill McLean. I've been a customer for you most recently since Dorian for a month, but before Dorian, we were a customer of yours from the early days of fiber at Treasure Key. Well, I'm from New Hampshire, up in the northern part of the U.S., but we've been coming here for 20 years and have owned here for 12 years and are lucky enough to spend 8 to 9 months a year here. It's actually really critical for us to have the cable here because both my wife and I own and run businesses from here. Treasure Key, the resort, had a very old cable system, and so we were a part of that in the early days. But when you all came in with fiber, it was a game changer. It's surprisingly good, and when I say surprisingly, not because of your company, but just we're very early in the rebuilding stages here. So to have the luxury of fiber this soon, we really didn't expect it. So it's been a very pleasant surprise and a big help to us.
Welcome back to our news. Looks like breezy conditions ahead for the weekend. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks again, Christina, and welcome to our second look at the weather. Taking a look at our satellite view around the region. Of course, that frontal boundary now pushing into the capital and into the central Bahamas, continuing to sag towards the south. Still has some energy in it, so we have some showers and isolated thunderstorms. We will continue to see those showers and thunderstorms flare up tonight through tomorrow as that front sags into the central Bahamas. Behind that, strong high pressure will be building in. That high will eventually move into the Atlantic, but those winds will be kicking up beginning tomorrow and into early next week. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. North to northeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be running 3 to 5 feet. Those winds eventually picking up, becoming 15 to 20 knots by tomorrow afternoon. Central and southeastern islands, northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet. High tide will be at 10:37 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Wednesday. We could get some more showers tomorrow, but the wind's expected to pick up by early next week. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, Miss Universe Bahamas, Shantae Miller, wowing spectators during the costume competition last night at the Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. Shantae took the national flag carrier on her back as captain, donning a pretty big costume inspired by Bahamas Air.
This costume is a tribute to her country's flag airline. Whether you want to swim with the pigs, enjoy a deep water fishing trip, or flamingo watch, remember their slogan, Bahamas Air, we don't just fly here, we live here. She's soaring high, way up in the sky, it's Bahamas.
Preliminary events continue tonight with the swimsuit and evening gown competitions. Shantae is hoping to walk away with the Miss Universe crown during the finals on Sunday at 8 p.m. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night for our news weekend. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas, for the love of music starts right now.